Grace and peace, beautiful spirits, grace and peace. I hope everybody's having a beautiful day or had a beautiful day today. If this is your first time coming across my page, welcome. To all my subscribers, you already know how I feel about you. I appreciate you so much. All the brand new subscribers, hey, how y'all doing? It's a blessing to meet you at this point within the journey. Yesterday we started tapping into, well, before we get into that, if you listen to my message with a carnal mindset, what you'll realize is that you won't be able to get much from my particular way of giving wisdom and understanding. If you listen to it with the religious mindset, you may get some things, you know what I'm saying, strategically extracting certain stuff out of the message that can help you continue on with your journey. If you listen to this with the spiritual mindset, chances are you'll grab at least 90% of this stuff. You heard, man. I was brought into your world to help create positive change. On yesterday, we got into the breakdown of the spirit of narcissism. You heard, man. It was interesting. It was definitely interesting. I know that chances are it triggered a lot of people. You heard, man. If you gave it a chance to actually listen to it, because basically if you did hear it or you did listen to a piece of it and turned it off, chances are you got triggered and you didn't get back to listening to it. But it make a whole lot of sense, because this type of subject is known to trigger those who are still not healed. But I'm telling you, baby, hey, it's really an easy thing to get beyond, you know what I'm saying, especially if you are interested in healing from it. You know what I'm saying, this is something that you can't just straddle the fence with, just like with the relationship with God. You know what I'm saying, your parents could have had relationships with God, and you have to understand that, yeah, they got their grace, but you got to get your own specific relationship as well. But anyway, let's get back into the topic of situation. We'll say it like that, the topic of situation, because it's nothing but a situation that you find yourself in that it's a chance that nobody around you is going to be able to help you with. The download that I really received the download since yesterday, and I've been holding on to it until today, because I knew at this point of the day I was going to get the opportunity to come in and be able to record. On behalf of what we spoke on yesterday, there's another area of it that we can go a little deeper within, because knowing that particular spirit is using others for energy, it goes deeper than that. I'm telling you, it got a lot of different layers to this particular situation, to the point to where you haven't realized, or other individuals that stuck in this situation, this cycle, haven't realized that they were also help that basically manipulated a child. It goes all the way down to that, because if the narcissist has a child, not only are they manipulating everybody that they're around, they're basically also manipulating the child, and they have you to help them to manipulate that child, if that makes sense. If you have ever took part in, there's something that's coming up in the spirit right now. I'm gonna give you a example. Let's go back to 2020. Everybody was on lockdown, or whatever the situation is, and a lot of people were working from home, and within that working from home, or let's say you had the job, whatever, and you have no idea about this particular spirit, and basically the spirit tends to reach out to you to let you know what's taking place, let you know that they supposedly, quote unquote, can't find such and such on social media or whatever the deal is, and you start to feel sorry for your friend or whatever the deal is. And then you supposedly become this little investigator. You heard, man? You go ahead and you start doing your searching, and you come up with a whole little game plan on what you done found and all this other stuff. You gotta think, you did some police work for this particular type of spirit, when not knowing that everything that their spirit went through or have done, they created themselves. You know what I'm saying? So they're basically going to have a multitude of different types of friends, and a lot of friends you probably won't know about. But the moral to it is, the reason why they have them is because they'll have absolutely anybody to come from all kind of different angles to try to find whatever fish that they're looking for. You heard, man? And then once it go down to the kid, you have to think, if you're close enough, you're going to hear about, maybe needing to be a babysitter or something like that, or they need to go and take care of some sort of business or whatnot, and you like, well, I know my friend been going through this and that or whatever the deal is, so yeah, let me go ahead and help her out and all this other stuff. So you did that so that way they went on ahead and continued their work, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's an ongoing thing. It's like there's no limit to getting these different sources of energy. You know what I'm saying? It sounds so strange, but when you look at it from the outside, because you can't see it while you're inside, because they've been devaluing you all this time. They've been using you as a source of energy all this time, to the point to where, like I mentioned yesterday, they're going to have so much information on you. But if you really think about it, how much information do you really have on them outside of what they're telling you? You know what I'm saying? They're going to tell you certain things, but chances are maybe 10% of it is actually correct. You heard, man? Because they live in this particular light, or the particular world that no one else is experiencing but this particular spirit. There was a question that came across on yesterday. I was asked, what do I mean when I say grace and peace? I hope that all is beautiful in whatever world that you're experiencing. Well, when I say whatever world, you have to understand you are going to see your world in a specific way. But if you think about it, the people right next door may not see that same particular world. Let's say you got some wealthy people on the right. They're not going to see the world the same way you see the world within, let's say, a poverty mindset or something like that. Or let's say that there's a north side of an area and a south side of an area, east side of an area, west side of an area. Each particular area is going to have, just like here in Dallas, certain areas, that's where the upscale environment is. The people are, they have a little bit of extra money or whatever the situation is, so they're going to have different benefits from someone that stays in the hood or whatever the deal is. So they're not going to be able to see, or they're going to be able to see the world from a different lens from you. But within this narcissism type of act, it's only what it is, and it can only continue. Just like I mentioned yesterday, it's going to continue regardless on if you're in the game or not, because you're going to be replaced, just like every relationship that they go into. Once they get everything that they can get out of it, which is, what I'm saying, if you think about it, I've been mentioning stuff like this for quite some time, especially with the portion of schooling. You know what I'm saying? What are you learning from the schools that you're enrolling or investing your time into? Once they graduate from the school, they move on from that school quick, unless You know what I'm saying? You got to think, if you've been a friend for X amount of years, that's how long they've been using your energy, to the point to where you will never become who you're supposed to become. Just like, for instance, watch this. I mentioned before, just like in the Bible, you heard me, Judas. People, spirits are inclined to believe that Judas was a bad man. But if Judas didn't do his assignment, you got to think, in this world is basically a movie. You're going to have a multitude of characters within that movie, and anybody that's not a character in your movie are backdrop people. Okay? Now, let me give you the understanding of what a backdrop person is. Let's say you're in the car. Let's say you're at a red light. There's cars all around. It's 5 o'clock traffic. You got cars to the left, cars to the right. If you look around, you don't see nobody that you know. So these individuals are considered as NPCs, non-player characters, as well as backdrop people. Now, in order for one of those individuals to actually have a role within your movie, that's why they say you gotta pay close attention who you allow within your movie. Well, they probably ain't said it like that, but I'm trying to give you this particular wisdom and want to paint you a picture so that way you can understand what it is that I'm saying. In order for someone to have, just like, for instance, whoever you're in a relationship with, remember Big Mama said, don't talk to strangers when you leave the house. Everybody starts off as a stranger. But at the same time, when you don't understand spirits, you're going to miss the fruit of what that particular stranger can become within your particular movie. But all in all, when it comes towards Judas, if Judas didn't play his role within the Bible, then what would be the purpose of going to church on Sundays? So who is your Judas? Obviously, your Judas has probably came years ago, but some way, somehow, you still don't recognize it as your Judas to project you, because that's all they're doing. They're basically projecting you into becoming who you were created to become. That's just like with the narcissist. Before you came into this world, you had already picked that particular spirit to deal with, to help you to remember who you was before you came within this world. Now, the longer that you stick around is, the longer that you allow them to make you think that you're the victim, or, you're the one that's doing bad, you're the one that's creating chaos and all this other stuff. Nah. Just like, for instance, when it comes towards a narcissist, one thing that you can't do is ask a narcissist a personal question, especially if you started with why. Why do you do this, or why do you do that? You'll see that little baby come out of them every time, because they're going to be triggered on behalf of just adding a specific 3-letter word within that particular sentence. It's fascinating. I'm telling you, it's fascinating. We're living in times where this particular spirit reigns supreme, and there's a lot of people who don't know who they are. So this spirit is going to just, feed off of the environment. They live off the land. This whole situation is all about energy. Everything in life is energy. You know what I'm saying? Everybody was taught, everybody was programmed to think about that you're just seeing people, when all in all, no. You're just basically a spirit having a human experience. Just like these particular bodies that we're in. That's why the Bible says that the body is the temple, and church is only a gathering of people. You heard, man? So God lives within, and it depends on how much you feed it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the saying goes within the matrix. Whatever side of the grass you feed, the grass is going to be greener on whatever side that you feed it, or whatever side that you water it, or whatever the deal is. So in order for you to understand stuff in the Bible, you have to get more spiritual food rather than all this, this keeping up with the the times, you know what I'm saying, what's going on in Washington, D.C., or what's going on the news and all this other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So since there's people that still keep up with the stuff that go on the news, those times when you hear stuff happening at these schools with these children killing other children, or where there's a shooting or whatever the situation is, and your first thought is like, oh my God, I can't believe that's going on. But if you really think about it, there are children who are in the midst of these particular situations. And there are other grown people that are helping these narcissists hide, to the point to where a child gets so, you know, think about it like this. Everybody taught you, that's older than you, taught you about Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, Tooth Fairy, to the point to where you got to about 10 and you got to understand that those things are fake. In those things are fake, that's where this mental health stuff come. It happens early in the years, to the point to where you can be additive. Just like I mentioned yesterday, you're being added to the turmoil and then taking on that characteristic and moving in your relationships, or moving in your parenthood with your children, operating that same way. As just like the Jezebel spirit. We're gonna talk about the Jezebel spirit soon. You know what I'm saying? That there's a lot. You can always tell when somebody don't know who the Jezebel spirit is, because they got the Jezebel spirit. They reign supreme out here as well. You know what I'm saying? The straight downfall of every man that operates within his ego. You know what I'm saying? It's an unfortunate situation, but there are so many spirits that are out there that's just doing what they do. Now, to the ladies that's here, or to the gentleman that's here, you know what I'm saying? In the Matrix, they say that a woman matures faster than a man. Well, if you think about it, at this particular day and era, there's still pee in the pool, just like I mentioned last video. And the reason being is that the question is, why didn't such and such, why doesn't he act his age? Well, this spirit been reigning supreme for years, to the point to where he doesn't have his own voice. Because especially with the narcissist would not allow a particular child to have their own voice. And since they can't have their own voice, that's just, you know what I'm saying, the cycle of that spirit. Now, as I mentioned yesterday, it's not saying that that individual was raised by a narcissist. This is something that they could have accumulated through the body count of the multitude of individuals that they had relations with. You know what I'm saying? Everybody matters. You're walking around with spirits of other families that, you know, they probably did some tarot card type stuff. They probably did some voodoo type stuff, or whatever the deal is. And you having sex with that individual, which that individual must have had sex with that individual, or that individual. That the world is just a big spider web. You heard me? You thinking that staying single for the last few of your years is an actual win. But at the same time, you've accumulated other lineage, dark entities, if that makes sense. Listen, it goes so deep. You heard me? So deep. So how do you get beyond all this stuff? We're gonna talk about that as we go through these videos. But just really think about it. They added you to the downfall of the young black man, or the young black woman, or just entities, just whatever race is, because I don't see race. I don't believe that there's race. There's just spirits having human experiences. Outside of that, I was never raised to see color anyway. So maybe there's a chance that you was programmed to see color, which is so unfortunate, but there's a lot of stuff you got to unlearn. If you want to heal, there's a lot of stuff you have to unlearn, because how you think is how you was programmed to think. That's why it's so easy to come here and openly talk about this, because it's been going on for so long. This ain't nothing new. That's the thing about it. And if you think there's people around you that's been around you all this time and not one of them was ever talking about this, because that's not the thing to do. That's the family secrets, right? But anyway, y'all be safe, man. God bless y'all. I love y'all. And until next time.